Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pumpkin Kisses and Harvest Wishes blog and Instagram hop celebration. This is a collaboration between the cat Scrappiness and Not Too Shabby shop. I'm going to be creating a couple of Slimline cards using this darling stamp set from the Not Too Shabby shop. It's called Happy Fall. I'm also using some new cat Scrappiness wonky stitched Slimline dies. These are nesting dies, so you get lots of sizes. I love wonky stitched dies, so I was so excited to see these. I'm also going to be using some sequins from Cat Scrappiness. This packet is called Hot Cocoa. I just love all of the different browns in this packet and shapes and sizes. It's just a fun packet of sequins, perfect for fall time card crafting. So let's get started with card number 1. I'm using some off-white cardstock, and I cut it out using one of the wonky stitched dies. It's not the largest, it's the second to the largest. And I'm going to be doing a bit of stamping and masking. I'm going to use this cute little crow from the stamp set. He is going to be standing on a tall pile of pumpkins. So I'm going to stamp him out first because he's going to be in front of the pumpkins. And then I make masks for all of my images I'm going to be stamping. This is a piece of sticky note paper, and it's the full coverage stick. And I'll just put the little mask on him, and then I can start stamping out my pumpkins. I really love how this pumpkin is drawn. It's very 3D looking. And I'm just stamping it out with some Simon Says Stamp Intense black ink. I do stamp it up a few times to get a dark, crisp line. And then I'm going to mask it and just work my way down this panel. And I'm kind of tilting the pumpkins as I go, so they're not all in the same alignment. When I stamped my pumpkin mask, I peeled up 3 pieces of paper behind it, so I cut out 3 masks at the same time, and then I can just reuse these masks as I work my way down. That's the great thing about using Post-it note paper for your masks, is you can cut out as many as you can cut out with your scissors. I'll stamp out one more pumpkin, and then I'm going to start coloring them in with my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. I really love coloring on colored cardstock like this. It gives you a nice base color to start with. Okay, let's pull off all of these masks and see how I did. So the Not Too Shabby shop, the shop I designed for, is going to start carrying Cat Scrappiness products. That's what this blog and Instagram celebration is all about. There are several prizes up for grabs, so make sure to leave comments on all of the blogs and Instagram links that I'll have listed for you below for your chance to win. There will be 4 $15 winners. I'm drawing in a few curly Q vines just because I stamped over the cute vines as I was masking them. So I wanted to draw a few in. And now for the coloring. I'm starting out with a dark purple. I want my crow to have a little bit of a purple undertone to it. I will bring in a few grays and a black colored pencil to cover up this purple, but it's going to have a cute little purple undertone to it. I've already selected all of the colored pencils that I'm going to be working with on this card. I do have a swatch sheet that I like to look over before I begin filming. And I also like to pre-sharpen all of my pencils. I love a very sharp tip on them so I can get into all of the teeny tiny nooks and crannies. I also like to come in with lots of layers. I start with my lightest color first. So on his beak, I'm using a yellow colored pencil, and then I'm going in with an orange and then even a little bit of a reddish orange just to add some dimension to it, make it look round. And I'm not pressing down very hard. I don't want to burnish the paper so that it won't take on any more color. I'm just pressing lightly, and that saves my hand too. I don't want it to start aching. And now for the pumpkin. I'm just going to color one on camera. And again, I'm starting with my lightest color first. And then I'm going in with an orange to put in some shadows. And then an even darker orange. I love coloring pumpkins. They're so fun to color in. And then I go back between these pencils and try to get a smooth blend. And my last color will be a reddish orange pencil. And then the little green stem. I don't color all of the pumpkins the same color because I wanted them to have some differences, but here it is all complete. I love how this turned out. It was so much fun. And I also stamped out a few leaves and an acorn to put on this card later. So I cut out another piece of the cream-colored cardstock with the largest of the wonky stitched dies. And I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending. I started out with black soot, and now I'm going in with wilted violet. My next color is carved pumpkin. And then I have wild honey. And then my last color is Shabby Shutters, which is just a really soft green. Most of this is going to be covered up, so I'm not concerned about getting too smooth of a blend, especially between my purple and my orange. But here it is all complete. So I'll just set that aside to dry. Now I'm going to put the masks back on the pumpkin. I wanted to put a little bit of color behind my scene. So I'm going to add a little bit of Shabby Shutters just to ground my little pumpkins. And then for the rest of it, I'm coming in with wild honey, and I'm not taking it all the way out to the edges. Just want a little haze of color. I could have gone in with more colored pencils, but this is just a fast way to apply some pretty color. And now I'll take off my masks and show you the finished panel. The sentiment I'm going to stamp onto a piece of black cardstock, and it's going to say Happy Pumpkin Spice Season. I'll add a little bit of anti-static powder first. And I'll stamp it up with my Versamark clear ink. And I like to do this a couple of times. And now I can take it out and pour over my white embossing powder. I'm just reusing my piece of scrap paper to do this. Lately, I like to use Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail White Embossing Powder. And then I can melt that with my heat tool. I did let it warm up for a minute. I decided to come in with another green colored pencil just to add a little more ground under my first, or I should say my last pumpkin, the bottom pumpkin. It just needed to be grounded a little bit more. And now I'm going to start putting this card together. I have a white card base, which measures 8.5 by 3.5. I'll put my ink blended panel down first. My second panel is going to be propped up with some Arteza foam tape. And I put a lot on there. I don't want it to sag when it goes through the mail. So I like an even dimension of foam tape. And then I can center that on my card. Next, I'm going to glue on the acorn just flat at the bottom of the card. I'm also going to attach a leaf next to it, but I'm going to put a little bit of foam adhesive behind that. And I just colored these in with more Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, the same colors I used on some of the pumpkins. The sentiment is going to be glued down flat. And I just fishtailed the ends on this with a pair of scissors. I also added some foam adhesive behind my last two leaves. These were really fun to color in with all of the pretty fall-time colors. And my last one will go up at the top. Then, of course, I'm going to pull out the Hot Cocoa Sequin packet and just liberally sprinkle these across the card. I just thought they were so pretty. I'm just putting teeny tiny drops of glue behind these, and I'm using my jewel picker to pick them up. This just adds a fun touch of sparkle to the finished card. So I've seen all of the finished cards that the other participants made for this blog and Instagram hop, and you guys are in for a treat. The cards they made are just beautiful. It's so fun to see everybody's take on a certain stamp set and supplies. Here is my finished card. I had a lot of fun putting this one together. And now for card number 2. I cut out a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock with the largest wonky stitch die, and I'm going to do a little bit of masking on this one as well. There are going to be 2 scenes on this card. The scene at the top is going to have a crow, a pumpkin, and a leaf. The crow is going to be in front, so I'm stamping him out first. And the bottom is going to have the little scarecrow, a pumpkin, and the leaf that I'm stamping out first. I stamped it out with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and poured over some clear embossing powder. I put masks on my images so I can stamp my next image, which are the scarecrow and the pumpkin. And I'll do the same thing. I'll pour a little bit of clear embossing powder over it. And then I can melt the images. My heat tool's all nice and warmed up from the first round of melting. And I'm going really slow. I don't want to warp this paper at all. And now for my third image for each little scene, the pumpkin and the leaf. This stamp set has the cutest fall time images in it. I just love this little scarecrow with the little baby crow sitting on his hat. To color in this panel, I'm going to pull out my Arteza Real Brush Pens. They work really great with the Bristol Smooth cardstock. And now to melt my last image, I'm trying to be careful not to go over the other images because I don't want to melt them into the paper. I allowed that to cool for just a minute, and now I can get on with my coloring. These pens are really vibrant and beautiful, and I really love playing with these. This time I'm starting with my darkest color, and I'm putting my shadows down at the bottom of the pumpkin. Next, I'm going to blend that out with a yellow pen. And I just go back and forth between these pens trying to get a smooth blend. I will have all of the colors that I use listed over at my blog if you're interested. I'm using the same color scheme for the pumpkin at the top. The heat embossed lines provides little wells around all of the sections of the images, so it makes coloring them in really fast, and you don't have to worry about bleeding. My crow got a little bit darker than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. I still like how it turned out. And now for his little beak, and I'll tone that down with some darker colors too, just very bright colors. I'm coloring in the baby crow a little bit lighter. And then I went in with a white Jelly Roll pen to add dots to the crow's eyes at the top. They kind of got lost in the dark purples and black. And now for the leaves, these are fun to color in with all of these fall time colors. And I do the one at the bottom just the exact same way. I have a hard time coloring in fall time leaves with just one color. I like to use all of the colors. And now for my scarecrow, I started coloring in his hair a little bit too red and too dark. So I'm trying to dab that up with my tissue and putting down a lighter color. I'm going to use a green pen to put a little bit of ground under my scarecrow, But at the end, I decided to put a little bit of color around all of the images, just to make them pop a little bit. I pulled out 2 different blue pens to color in his little jeans. And then his shirt, I'm going to color in with some purples. I had a hard time deciding what color to do for the hat, and I settled on a very pale green. The patches I did pretty much all the same with yellows and oranges. And then I'm using a pale peach color to color in his face and hands. I love how these images already have the little cheeks drawn out for you. So all you have to do is add a little bit of pink to them. Okay, to separate these 2 scenes, I'm going to use the smallest wonky stitch slimline die. I cut it out with another piece of Bristol Smooth, and then I'm going to cut it out again with the largest wonky stitch slimline die, just so it has some edging to it. And here it is, all ready to go. But before I attach it to my card, I am going to stamp a sentiment there. This card is going to have 3 different sentiments, actually. At the top it says, Happy Fall. In the middle it's going to say, Scarecrow Kisses. And at the bottom it'll say, Fall Wishes. I just couldn't decide on which sentiment to use. They were all so cute. And now I'm going around the scenes with some more of the Arteza Real Brush Pens. I'm putting down a little bit of color, and then I pull out the color with my water brush. And I'm not taking the color all the way out to the edge either. I just want a little bit of color. I did heat emboss my sentiments with more clear embossing powder so that they would match the lines of my critters and pumpkins and leaves. And now let's put this card together. My card base this time is going to be made from orange cardstock. And again, it's 8.5 by 3.5. And I'm laying down my main panel flat with a little bit of dot liner. The sentiment I'm popping up with some foam adhesive. And I did run an orange Arteza Real Brush pen over that to add a little bit of color. I do wish I had taken this color all the way out to the edge on this sentiment, but that's all right. The last touch for this card is, of course, some more of these pretty sequins. So make sure to leave comments on all of the blogs and Instagram accounts linked below for your chance to win. This hop goes from September 10th, 2020 to September 15th. And good luck to all of you. I hope you enjoyed this celebration hop. Here is a look at the finished card. Thanks for watching, everyone. Happy fall time crafting. Take care, and I'll be back again soon with another card crafting video. Bye.